Okay, today we're going to be beginning a new simon, very exciting simon Tafresh Pei test, which is going to be primarily dealing with the halachas of who is obligated in the Megillah, who is not. Is everyone's obligation equal? If someone already fulfilled his obligation, could he still recite the brachos to someone who didn't fulfill his obligation yet? What about bringing children to shuls that can be permissible, prohibited? Is there a difference in age? What's the story? Maybe banging a little bit about Haman. A lot of very, very important halachas that we are going to be learning about in this simon. So without further ado, we will now proceed to begin the Torah. Rabbi Yaakov Bain, Rabbi Noasher, the son of the Rosh. So he starts off Hilchos Megillah by saying, Hakol Chayavin Berkiyas Megillah. Everyone is obligated in literally the reading of the Megillah. Kohanim, Levim, V'Yisraelim, V'Avadim, V'Shulcharim, right? It's going to be Kohanim, Levim, it's going to be Yisraelim, it's going to be Avodim. Everyone is going to be obligated in the laning of the Megillah. Chol Mamzer, someone who was born from illegitimate relations. Nosin, that's a Nesina. It's a Tumtum. We don't really have Nesinas nowadays anymore. Tumtum, androgynous Tumtum, someone that doesn't have any reproductive organs. Androgynous is someone who has both them. Mechanchin Nami Hakatan Ba. And we educate the children as well to be involved with the hearing of the Megillah. So women are also obligated in the reading of the Megillah. That is Sif Aleph. That's the entire Gemara. That's the entire Torah. That's the entire halach over here, based on Sif Aleph. The source of this Torah, Beis Yosef points out, it comes up in Maseches Eruchin, but really there's a beautiful sugya in the Gemara in Megillah. For a little bit of background information, the Gemara Megillah and the Avdal Amar Aleph says, "Amr Yeshua ben Levi Nashim Chayavos V'Nikra Megillah Shafein Hayabos." So in the middle, which is highlighted, that women are obligated in the reading of the Megillah because they were also included in the miracle. Now, what does this mean that they were included in the miracle? Which miracles is referring to? Number one. Number two, this is a similar statement of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. He says that women, if you take a look at the Shas Imo Safos over here on the top right in Os Beis, that the other places where this comes up is it comes up to the Gemara in Shabbos on Chav Gimel. Amar Aleph, that's talking about they're obligated in the Ner Chanukah, and Psachim Kovches is referring to the Daled Kosos. If they have 4 cups of wine on Pesach, why? So we see this statement comes up 3 places in Shas. Same exact Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, and a lot has been said about this, and a lot of women's shirim have been made based on this statement as well. Comes along Rashi and says, what does it mean that they were in the miracle? Sha'af al hanoshim gazar haman lahashmin lahagur la'avin minar v'adzokin kaf noshim. That what it was also on the women that Haman decreed to destroy them, to eradicate them from youth until old age, from young until old, children and women. That Haman had in mind to destroy them. So according to Rashi, that when it means it doesn't mean that they were included in the miracle. It means that they were included in the what? The decree to destroy them, which is interesting because I wouldn't call a decree an ace. Taisus already is going to pick up on this. Taisus says Perish Rashbam Shikar Anez Hayal Yaldan is actually going to be the Rashbam in Psachim Kufches. You have the Rashbam on the daf over there on the actual page in addition to Rashi, and on the Arvei Psachim, specifically on the 10th paragraph Psachim. So he pipes in and comments on this line of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. What does it mean? Shafei Nones ben Nesa. What, that they were the miracle? So he says that that the main nace was because of them. Shikranez hayal yodim bepurim al yidei Esther b'chanukah al yidei Yehudis. All right, b'chanukah al yidei Yehudis. That no, it has nothing to do with the decree that they should be destroyed. Rather, it has to do with what? It has to do with the actual miracle resulted. It was facilitated and came about through a woman. Purim was Esther, right? That's what we call Megillah's Esther. Hester, it was all hidden. It's all about Esther. All about the women over here. Chanukah was through Yehudis. Another woman. Pesach b'zechus noshim sidkanios. Zechus sidkanios shabiyos ador niglu. It was in the merit of the righteous women that they were in fact redeemed. So you see that that it doesn't have to do with why they were destroyed, rather why they were redeemed. Sota Yod Alpha Beis. right? Over there it says Tachas Atapuch or Yisicha, and it was because of the righteous women that the miracles actually happened. So you have Machloikis Vakasha, the Lashon Sha'af, Mashin Shein Tefelos, the language of Af. Rabbi Shua ben Levi says that they were even included in the miracle. So it implies that they're secondary. Leperusha Hailolomar. According to this explanation of the Rashba, we should have said that no, women are obligated in Megillah and Daled Kosos and Ner Chanukah because they, not that even they are part of the miracle. No, they are the miracle. Kach nearly, that's what it appears to me. Shav Shehin Hayu B'Safik Lahashmin Laharu. That's why Tosfos says no. It appears more like what Rashi's saying on our daf over here. What does it mean that they were even part of it? That means that they were part of what? To get destroyed. Similarly on Pesach, they were part of the decree to get destroyed. They were subservient to Paro. Also on Chanukah, the decree was on them. So you have a beautiful machloikis, an argument between Rashi, between the Rashbam versus Rashi and Taisus. If Afein Ayabos Anes means like the Rashbam that they were included in what brought the miracles to actually happen, which I would say is Pashup Shot, or like what Rashi and Taisus are saying that no, they were part of the decree to be annihilated and destroyed. Beautiful. Beautiful. Moving right along. The first Taisus talks about something which is very important in terms of what the halacha lamais is for the halacha. Nashim chayavos Megillah makan mashma shanashim osisas achim midei chavasim midei kamer leishmo v'nikra Megillah. It's implied from this that women could fulfill the obligation of other people. If they lay in the Megillah and other people listen, they can fulfill their obligation. We're going to learn all about this halacha lamaisa nowadays and what's the story over here. So it's implied from here that what? That they could in fact motzi other people. It's also implied from this way in the Gemara in Erchin. The Kamar that it was said, Hakol Kasherim Lakara es the Megillah. Everyone is going to be kosher to read the Megillah. Umasik, and it's concluded over there, Hakol Kasherim Lasuye Mai. Who is that coming to include? That everyone is kosher to hear the Megillah. Right. Says over there in the beginning of Maseches Erchin, who is that coming to include? Mishani Lasuye Nashim. It's coming to include women. Mashma Lahaitzi Afilo Nashim, and it's implied that a woman could even lay in Megillah for a man. Kasha, but I have a question. Says Tosfos the Habit Tosefta Tani. The Tosefta says Behedya explicitly the Tumtum in a Moitzi Lo Yasmino Velo Shein Mino. Tumtum, someone that doesn't have any reproductive organs, cannot fulfill the obligation, cannot lay in Megillah for his type, for her type, for another Tumtum or someone else. Androgynous, Moitzi Yasmino, Ve'in Moitzi, Eshein Amino, non androgynous. An androgynous could cover his type, another androgynous, someone with both reproductive organs, but he cannot cover someone who is not an androgynous. Upchito, and it's going to be obvious that the Tosefta is talking about that the Tumtum and androgynous, they can't cover the obligation of other people. Androgynous. Women wouldn't be better than an androgynous. Then what? If an androgynous can't cover other people, then certainly a woman can't. And that's what the halachas gedolos rules as well. That a woman could fulfill the obligation, could read the Megillah for only other women, but not other men. Yeah? So this is a question. This is a question. Remember, he said kasha. Before we said that women could cover men. We said. But from the Tosefta over here, it seems like they cannot fulfill the obligation for men reading for them. That's Tosfos' question. Yishlomer Tosfos answers the Salka Daitoch. You would have thought you would have thought that a woman cannot even read the Megillah, and another woman can't fulfill her obligation when another woman reads it for her. And that's why we need to learn that what? The chayavin hakol chayavin b'shmiya avodim nashim v'kitan, and that's why it needs to say that women are obligated. What that means is also the listening, and therefore, if a woman reads the Megillah, another woman can fulfill her obligation from that. That's how you reconcile that.
She can fulfill nashim avodim v'kitan.
Yeah, that's right.
Not men.
That's right. That's right. So this is Tosfos' idea over here. of how he learns it, and they cannot cover him. And it seems like even b'diavad post facto, we are going to be learning more about this as we continue. This is the Gemara in Megilah. Any questions on the Gemara at all or the Torah? Okay, moving right along.
Wait. So what's it? An androgynous? So what is their stat? Like, what is their status?
Their status, they have both reproductive organs.
But what does that mean? And like, what is that like? Can they get married, or they can
Well, a lot of times nowadays they have surgeries, from what I'm told.
I hear, but all right, fine.
Yeah, they're not so common, but you can look into
No.
it if you're more curious. Okay, so what we're gonna do for the Siman, because it's, if I'm not mistaken, 6 sifim, so it's a little bit too long to necessarily do every single Torah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to just do it sif by sif. I think that'll be nicer. So the Shulchan Aruch rules on Sif Aleph, Hakol chayavim b'kriyasa. Anoshim v'noshim v'gerim v'avodim v'shucharim v'chanchin z'katam l'kroisa. Everyone is obligated in the reading of the Megillah. Men, women, converts, slaves that are freed, and we educate the children to read the Megillah. This is the Magen Avram, and that's Sif Aleph. That's all. It's that simple. So comes along the Lavush. See if he says anything. Yeah. Lavush adds like this. What does it mean that they're obligated in the reading of the Gil? That means to listen. Women have an obligation. There's a difference between a chayva on the kriya and the shmiya. An obligation for someone to read or someone to hear. We have more of an obligation, men have more of an obligation to read the Megillah. Now we can fulfill that obligation through listening, but the point is that for some reason, or reasons which we're going to be learning about, the obligation of women is a little bit lower. Their obligation is only to hear the laning. And that's why they cannot fulfill the obligation of men. If a woman would read the Megillah, then a man would not fulfill his obligation. We're going to see as we continue to learn how we hold at the end of the day. The lo alima chayvosayu lahoitzias anash midei chovasim. Says the Lavush something very profound. Rabbi Mordechai Yaffa, he's a big student of the Ramah. He says that their obligation is not strong enough that they could read the Megillah and then a man could fulfill his obligation through that reading. V'chein ein mitzarfin. Similarly, they would not combine lesar to 10. We're going to be learning about also even just a man. Could a man read the Megillah and other men will fulfill their obligation even if they have less than 10, or do you need 10? Is there a din? Is there a halacha that you need a minion to learning of the Megillah or not? That's something we're going to be learning. A lot of very good topics coming up, as you see. So, what's the story over here? Eliyah Rabbah. That's on Sif Beis. This is the Lavush. The Aruch HaShulchan. Maybe Yechiel Michael Epstein. Okay. We don't need to see that on Sif Aleph. And then Kaf HaChaim. Need to see anything that he says. Yeah, Nashim. B'ksas mekoymos nohagin shehin holchos l'beis hakneses le'ezros nashim l'shmoy hakriya. Says the Kaf HaChaim. In some places, it's a custom for women to go to the women's section in shul to hear the Megillah reading. Achein sham ein shoymim klalo Megillah v'ha'ich yotzin. But says the Kaf HaChaim, quoting the Yishul Avram, how could they fulfill their obligation with the Megillah reading over there? They don't hear squat. If they can't hear anything, the Baal Korah is not loud enough, or the shul is too big, or both. They don't fulfill their obligation. There's nothing to talk about. All right? So that is an important point, which we're going to see coming up and up and up, over and over. The Yishleimar, the Ein Kol HaMakol Moshavim. All places are unequal. Ein Achanami, the Ein Lo Shama Betuv, Sarech Lachzor V'Lishmo Oso, V'Bais Min Anashim. All places are unequal. And if they're not going to hear it, then they need to go back and hear the laning again in a house from men or in a place they could actually hear it. So if you know any women, they get to shul, and then they get there like, I can't hear squat. Well, you try to move as close as you could. If you still can't hear, get out of there. Go to another landing.
They know the drill, and they'll just say, "Let's hear it from home."
Oh, so we're going to be learning about that also. We learned already in the previous, in two simonim earlier, in Taf Reish Pei Zayin, concept of if everything is equal. AKA, you don't have to make a minyan for someone who can't make it to shul, like we saw from Rav Eliyashiv. You're not going to be davening at a Vasika minyan because no Vasika in there, like Rav Chaim Kanievsky. You're not already davening consistently at a house minyan that even with the house owner would leave. So then the minyan would still go on, which we saw how the Moshe Sternbach in Charles Jewish Van Hagos Chelik Beis Simon Shinnun learned the Shabbat Sion and Simon Tafresh Pei Zayin Sivkot and Yud that it's okay to continue davening there. You don't have any of those three scenarios. So for men, you got to go to shul. Brovam Hadras Melech. The more people give splendor after the king, that's much better. All right. So the question is over here, does that apply for a woman? Does that apply for a woman that she also, there's an idea that she should hear the laning Brovam Hadras Melech? Well, one thing that certainly won't apply for her, if she's going to go to a shul with 2,000 people and she can't hear squat, so then she's not even going to fulfill her obligation at all. Make her adin, not even b'di'evet. So therefore, that's not good. But the question is, everything equal? Is there idea of kol kavoda bas pnima, and therefore try to do it in a house, or go to shul? So we're gonna have to learn about that as we continue as well. That's the kafachai. Comes along the Mishnah Brew. Yep, we're good. We got everything before then. It says like this. Start with the Be'er Halacha. Yeah, start with the Be'er Halacha. Why not? Seemingly, if a woman already fulfilled her obligation and heard a Megillah reading, and now one of her friends didn't fulfill her obligation yet. Her friend doesn't know how to read from the Megillah properly. She does. Could she now read from the Megillah and cover her friend? Says the Be'er Halacha, seemingly that would be a problem. If she already fulfilled her obligation, she cannot read the Megillah for her friend. Why not? Well, he doesn't say. So we're going to have to see. V'hu adin kotan le'isha. The same halacha would be if if you have a 10-year-old boy, he can't read the Megillah for a woman now. Or he can't even read the Megillah for another young kid. Arvus. Oh, we have a doubt. Are they included in the category of arvus? Where we could apply the principle of even though that a person fulfilled their obligation, already they can fulfill the obligation for someone else.
The women weren't by Har Grizim and Har Abel, it's just men standing.
So we're going to have to see what exactly this is about. Why wouldn't they be included in this arvus? We're going to have to see about that. This we should reference when we learned Hilchos Kiddush, Siman Reishai and Aleph. We learned about arvus over there.
We definitely did not.
Arvus, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zebazeh. Every single person is for another person. And when our friend didn't fulfill his obligation, it's as if we didn't fulfill our obligation. So comes along the Oz V'Hadar Mishnah Berurah, commenting on this Be'er Halacha. And he says like this. The rabbis teach us. The rabbis teach us that anyone who is obligated a mitzvah, even though he already fulfilled it, his obligation, he could cover someone else. For example, someone already made Kiddush on Shabbos night. He's able to make Kiddush another time to fulfill the obligation of other people that didn't fulfill their obligation and say the brachas again. What's the reasoning? Even though he himself isn't obligated to make Kiddush himself, he already fulfilled his obligation. Nevertheless, Since his friend is obligated, it's considered as if he himself is obligated as well. Since every single Jew is for another Jew, and therefore he is obligated to make Kiddush right now in order to save his friend from this sin and to exempt him from this mitzvah. So it's a discussion. If his friend knows how to make Kiddush himself, he should probably do it himself. But if he doesn't,
The oven that he's saying
over here.
covers from eating without Kiddush?
Yes. Let's say he's al yidei mishu kvar ba'atzma. If the listener is an expert and knows how to make Kiddush himself and to fulfill the mitzvah properly, so then there's an argument between the poskim, the rabbis, if it's permissible for him to fulfill his obligation with through someone who already fulfilled his obligation. So we learned about. He actually quotes Reisha and Gimel.
But we took it from back and forth.
Yeah. Well, the Rov Amid as a Megilah, this is something that you're not even be good.
How do you
be
have
covered? But yeah, but post facto, this might not even be good.
Right. So how would you ever have the Rov Hamid somebody's making Kiddush for you if you know how to make Kiddush Friday night?
No, that's talking about if you need to fulfill your obligation. This is talking about he already fulfilled his obligation and he's making Kiddush for someone else who didn't fulfill his obligation yet. So it could be that now he's saying brachas for no reason. If the halacha is that the expert's supposed to do it himself.
You're saying if the guy already did it and the guy who's being motzi knows how to do it already.
Correct. That's what we're talking about over here. That's the situation. Don't confuse it.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Then the separate issue is that obviously there's a world difference between being a Bucky and Kiddush and how to say Kiddush and how to read the Megilah.
Yeah, it's harder to do the whole Megilah, right? Says the Oz V'Hadar. This is all talking about men. But a woman, if she already fulfilled her obligation, she can't cover another woman. It's illogical to say that. Seemingly, that would be the halacha. Same thing, a katan. If you have a kid, he cannot read the Megilah for another kid or for a woman. The Pri Megadim has a doubt if they're included in an arvos. The Yisakin she noshim bechlal could very well be that women are included in the category of Kol Yisrael or even Zelazeh. Could very well be that women are not included in this concept that every single Jew, when it comes to the mitzvahs, when their friend didn't do a mitzvah, it's as if they didn't do a mitzvah. Could be. Who knows? I really go into it so much. I think we learned about this more in Kiddush. What about Indian Geirim Danu Hachronim Yishnam Ba'arvusala? There's a major discussion about someone who converts. Is he also tied down to this arvus or not? Okay. This is the sugi of arvus. It's an interesting discussion. And where this comes from.
If the woman, you say Kiddush already, and the woman, she can make Kiddush on her own. She knows. So how does that work?
Then she makes Kiddush.
She wants her husband to do it then.
And he could technically do it. Yeah. He could technically do it.
It sounds like that opinion. It would be problematic.
A lot of times with the Kiddush, if you already are Kiddush in Shul anyways, and then you have a new place, so you're not saying like, it's just, you need to say new bracha anyway, so it's not a problem. Question more would be on Shabbos night for some reason, if that would happen, which would be pretty rare. So it wouldn't really be a problem anyways, that it's not like he would be tapping into the bracha anyway, so to say. Yeah. So, but let's say someone already made Kiddush in that spot, and 10 minutes later a woman walks in and says, could you make Kiddush for me? Probably technically you could.
And what about
It says over here at the end of the Talmud, Mishum Shalom Kiblu Anashim Arvus. Women didn't accept Arvus. Yeah, what'd you say?
no? I mean, you'd say the whole. You'd say break for everything. You say everything again.
Well,
All right, so nothing out, nothing
the
out.
one during the day isn't so much stuff. It's just Brei Priagaf and everything else is extra. There's no concern about saying Hashem's name in vain.
Would you say Brei Prigafen again or no?
Where if you were in the same room and then she came,
Yeah.
I mean, you probably could. I would just tell her to say Brei Priagafen. That's happened to me once in my life, and I told the small group over there that came in. I said, just say it yourself. You
Why
know,
can't?
I'm hesitant to just tell them this isn't like Havdalah, where there's a lot of reasons why they shouldn't be doing it if there's a man around, because you have shilas on the drinking of the wine. You had, right, when we did Havdalah, if they're even obligated in
Oh,
Aish, because that could be a Zman Groma, it's not really attached to Havdalah we were learning about. So you got to explain to them this isn't Havdalah, you have a full obligation in Kiddush over here.
By day, obviously, and
Yeah,
but all they have to say is Bray Guffin. There's nothing wrong. I don't understand
exactly.
why would they have someone moting that?
Why?
Why?
Because, like I just said, maybe they had a confusion with Havdalah. They thought that they're not supposed to or something. Who knows?
You just explain to them that they can say it on their. It's better for them to say it on their own. Maybe
What?
you can. You would just someone would just explain to them that it's better for them to say it on their own.
That's what I just said.
All right.
All right. Let's take a look at the Mishnah Brewers. Mishnah Brewer Aleph. All right. Good. Gonna tackle this whole sif today. That's it. Finished. After Akriya he davar shazman grama, even though the reading of the Megillah is a mitzvah sasha shazman grama, we know from the first parak of Maseches Kedushin that anything that is mitzvah sasha shazman grama noshe beturos, the women are exempt from time-bound mitzvahs. Mikol makom chayavos, nevertheless they are obligated in the reading of the Megillah sha'afein ayu ba'oso anes, because they were included in the miracle. Because originally the decree was also on the women. Because the pasuk says, and therefore a man needs to read the Megillah for them in his house, he says, in front of the unmarried women and the women servants. Ubiksas mekoimos nohagin shehim holchos lebeis hakneset le'ezers nashim l'shmoyo hakriya. And in some places, the custom is the women go to the women's section to hear the Megillah reading. Achein sarachia neich sham nashim di'iev shar l'shmo sham kedin. But you have to look into how could they fulfill their obligation with this if they cannot hear properly, like we already saw. Beis mishuchrorin, freed slaves of alina mishuchrorin peturin de gariyim minoshim linyanzet. However, if the slave is not freed, then they would be exempt from hearing the Megillah reading. They would be worse than women regarding this halacha. However, some disagree and said that even if they are not slaves, if they are not free, then they would in fact be obligated in hearing Megillah reading. Ketanim, someone who reached the age of chinuch. Look later on in Sifvav. The cave and the gam noshim chayavois poshut the gam b'ketanos yesh bahem mishu mitzvah chinuch. And since that women are going to be obligated in the Megillah reading, it's obvious that also girls would be obligated to hear the Megillah because of the mitzvah of chinuch. Look later on in Sifvav, which we will get to, and that will talk about the obligation of children and the reading of the Megillah or their lack of, and bringing them to shul.
the first one, it says that if you have women in the house
Yep.
and they're not gonna be able to hear, he should read for them. It sounds like, I mean, it doesn't sound like he went to shul first. It doesn't say that he should go to shul first and then say that he has to read for them.
He has to read for them, but how is it implied from here that he didn't already hear it in a shul with the big Rovam Hadras Melech? 100% he shouldn't do that. 100% he should be going to shul and hearing it with 10 people and Barovam Hadras Melech and Morva Persiminisa. I don't think, no. It's just saying, he has to read it for her. Not that he's fulfilling his obligation from that. Sorry, wasn't the answer you wanted to hear?
Not that I don't want to hear it. I just,
That's the pshat.
so
It says like this. Even though the reading of the Megillah is time-bound and women are not obligated in time-bound mitzvahs, nevertheless, they are included in the miracle that what if the decree was on them. So he's going like the that approach in the Rishonim that we just learned, that they were included in the decree. They add in either they have to go to a shul where they could hear, or he should read for them in the house, or she should take with her a kasha Megillah to the shul. They got to make sure that they hear it clearly up there, and that's his notion. They're not free. If a slave isn't free, so then they're not included in the reasoning that they were in the miracle. So therefore, they would be exempt, just like anything time bound. But some say that no. At the end of the day, they're still in the decree of Haman, and therefore they would be obligated. That's a depth to the machlokas about a slave that isn't free. Okay, we don't have slaves anymore, so it's not relevant. Yeah,
Why is he a slave? If he's free, he's not a slave anymore.
that's right. This is talking about if he wasn't free.
Yeah, but when it says Lashon the Gemara, right? Where we learn it? That Nashim Katan Avadim Achaya.
Yeah.
See, that's talking about an Evan Meshuchrar.
Yeah, that's what we were saying over here. We're talking freed. We were saying that there was a machlokes if they weren't free, if they would be obligated, right? When it said that they were going to be obligated, avodim mishuchachim, he's going to be chayiv just like other converts, right? And then that's talking about free. Regarding if they're not free, so then you have a machlokes. What's the reasoning and the depth behind the machlokes? The answer is, are they included in the miracle or not? Maybe you could say they're not included in the miracle, right? And they would be exempt, just like anything time bound, because they know they're included in the miracle. AK, they were part of the decree of Haman. Talking about if they're not freed.
How does he know that the Yin said there's right? An Never Kanani Malvataval, right, is like a woman, like he just said.
Yeah.
But how does he know that it's less in terms of Divrei Kabbalah, or even let's say Divrei Rabbanon at night?
This is not
less.
freed.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you have an Eved Shemal V'Tava,
Yeah.
right? He's still an Eved, right?
Yeah, he's an Eved.
Right. And
even if you have an Eved who is a Jew and he became an Eved because he stole and can't repay it.
That's an Eved. I'm talking about Eved Kanani Shemal V'Tava, right?
I don't. The question is talking about Kanani. Why is it? How would it be talking about
Kanani? An Eved Ivri for sure.
Kanani isn't.
Kanani isn't, but once he's Mal V'Tava.
No, but once he's an Eved, he's an Eved.
Isn't he he's chayv all the mitzvahs like a woman.
Yeah, even so, they're exempt from making Megilah. They're worse than women over here.
Why?
Because it's not shaykh the reason that they weren't in the miracle.
Whereas they would have been, someone would have saved them.
Yeah, look over here.
All right.
Look over here. But no, 5. Hey, the Shem Elohai Miri explains maybe they were in the miracle. Those who argue say that no, since that they have Mila, they're included in the danger.
Okay. I just don't understand the other side.
Yeah, there's what to look into there. I said we don't have them, so
Right.
it's all good. Oh, it's already 9:55. I think those are all the Oz V'Hadars anyways on this. Yeah, so that's the whole Sevalv. All right, so tomorrow we're gonna continue with some more practical halachas on this.
Fantastic.
All right, everyone should have a wonderful day.
Can we when we have a chance, let's just like besides the Suda, are there any other differences between someone would say just Erev Shabbos? How else is Purim different besides the Suda?
Are there any other differences? I don't know if I could think of
Well,
any.
the Rav,
Suda.
you mentioned the difference. Does the Rav mention it? That there's a Shalach Manos that you Machlokas whether you should do all your Shalach Manos before the Suda or not, because the two reasons.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably try to do it before. You could try to wake up.
I mean, at least
if you could, yeah.
Two,
I feel like a lot of people are going to be having their Suda before Mincha Katana. They're not going to be stringent to have it before Chatzos. I'm going to try to do it before 1 o'clock because it's L'chachila.
Come at 12:30. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try to start it then. Yeah.
People have to get home.
When's the last time this happened?
Well, I mean, it's a late.
Right, people prepare for
Shabbos
Shabbos.
doesn't start till 6ish though, right? Because
They just changed the clock, so it's going to be starting right now. It's starting 5:50 this week, 5:30. So they're going to change the clock. Plus, in 2 weeks, it's going to be starting 6:45ish.
6:45. So you have
You have more buffer.
3, 4 o'clock. Yeah, we have 4 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
I think it starts around 1 o'clock.
It's not the worst thing in the world to give shalach. I mean, you fill your main shalach manos before the suda, but it's not
Yeah.
a bad thing to do it afterwards. You know, you say it forever.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So,
All right. Have a wonderful day.
have a good one.
All right, bro.